sharing the show right now.
I love that. You share it. Hey, y'all. Welcome to Cross Politic. Thank you for joining us on the Fight, Laugh, Feast Network. Of course, Pastor Toby, Chuck Knox, the Water Boy. We also have Lieutenant Governor of Idaho, Janice McGeachin. It's McGeachin.
You said it right.
I said it right.
Way to go.
McGeachin on the show with us. Yeah, I got it.
That's amazing.
I worked real hard on that name recognition, so good job.
Yeah, thank you. If you guys want to support Rowdy Christian Media, join the club. I'm also working on kind of an entry-level pricing for people to join the club. We haven't talked to Toby about this yet.
This is how they do it. We do business meetings online,
on air.
I have something to do with this, but I wasn't going to do it like this. I want to talk to you first.
I'm going to vote no.
Yeah. Well, see, I got to present these things to you guys on the air because you always vote no against me.
Trust me, you want to vote yes on this one. Definitely want to vote yes.
I bring it on the air.
Okay, well, we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Oh, my goodness.
Do you have anything else to say, or am I in now?
You can go.
All right.
You can go.
Janice McGeachin is Idaho's lieutenant governor. Janice is a former state representative from 2002 to 2012. She's also a successful business owner from Idaho Falls who, along with her husband Jim, own and operate multiple businesses in the automotive industry with stores in Idaho Falls and Boise. Janice served as the first vice state chair for the Trump Idaho State Committee and as a Trump delegate to the 2016 Republican National Convention in Cleveland, Ohio. Janice graduated from Skyline High School in 1981 and received her BSBA in finance and accounting from the University of Arizona in 1985. She's a member of the First Presbyterian Church of Idaho Falls and enjoys skiing, hiking, and traveling. Janice, thanks for coming back on Cross Politic.
Well, thanks for inviting me. It's good to be back here. I hope you noticed my Trump bling that I'm...
Yes, I was very offended by that.
Thank you. So are you at home? Are you in Idaho Falls?
I'm not in Idaho Falls right now. I am at home. We do have a home cabin elsewhere. That's where I'm at today, getting some things done around the house.
You're just quarantining?
Yes, I'm self-isolating in my house. Let me thank you all to begin with. Thank you for starting our meeting off with a prayer and guidance from God. And I think that that's so important that we remember that in these difficult times, because people get so angry and frustrated and stressed out that they lash out at each other. And I've seen a lot of that lately, and it's really unfortunate that that's what's happening. But I do appreciate your focus on following God and honoring each other, honoring His direction in our lives, and doing what we can to help spread love and good news to the people of Idaho.
Yeah, I led a Liberate Moscow protest here last Monday night or 2 Monday nights ago.
You didn't get arrested? And
the letters to the editor, like the following weekend, were just like all ad hom attacks. No logical responses to me. Yeah. It was pretty disappointing.
And at that rally, you actually led the rally in praying for our city council.
Yeah.
That they would have.
I was wisdom. I want to honor our city council. I want to pray for them and all that stuff.
It's crazy. It's crazy. So, Janice, how have you, just give us a big picture. How are you viewing the threat of the coronavirus in the state of Idaho?
Well, it's a dangerous disease. We need to be very careful and cautious as we deal with this. And we need to I agree that we need to do all that we can to protect our frontline workers, the elderly, and those who are compromised health-wise. But I also believe it's important that we protect our economy. And I don't think that those two goals need to be mutually exclusive.
So you've been very vocal in opening back up the economy. Why is that? Well,
it's business is what makes the world go around, and everything that we do, our public education system, all levels of government, city, county, state, federal, is all dependent on our economic activity. It's what singles us out from the rest of the world in America, the free market and the prosperity, the individual being able to provide for themselves and their families and not be dependent on the government. And I believe that maybe this is why we're seeing a lot of angst out there, is because it really illustrates the divide between the two different thought processes. Those who believe in the free market and the prosperity of the individual and pulling ourselves up from the bootstrap, and those who want us to be more dependent and reliant on the government.
So you're basically, if Governor Little leaves the state, you're kind of an intern governor. You're basically second in command in the state of Idaho, and Governor Little has been supportive of all these measures, and you have seemed to be against him in this resolution. How do you balance that loop?
Well, I've been trying I will say, our governor is at first when he was asking the residents of Idaho to participate and asking for our assistance and giving us guidelines, I think that was entirely appropriate. And I was doing everything I could to help facilitate that message. But as soon as he issued the citation under the code that declares the emergency, and it is a citation to martial law, that's what maybe a lot of people don't realize. That wasn't necessary. It wasn't necessary to do that. And also when you consider the difference between what the governor's actions have been and President Trump's actions, President Trump has issued recommendations, suggestions, guidelines. Mm-hmm. President Trump never did mandate that we all stay in our house for a month or 2 months. And President Trump never did declare that certain businesses should be shut down. And we had a rally over the weekend. It was All Jobs Are Essential rally. And somewhere along the line, the Director of Department of Health and Welfare decided to define which businesses were considered essential and therefore which employees were considered essential. And I don't know where they came up with this, because the guidelines that came from the Department of Homeland Security simply said that it was an effort to recognize critical infrastructure and say that we need to do what we can to protect the workers in those industries. The directive never said that if you don't fit into this structure, that you should be shut down. Huh. And there's a big difference between the two.
Now, as I understand it, Governor Little is operating off Idaho Code Section 46 to declare the authority that he has. But then through that resolution, he handed the directive over to the Director of Health and Welfare. And under the Director of Health and Welfare's code, he's operating off of the definitions of what quarantine and isolation are under those I think it's Code 56, Section 56. I think that's what it is, or maybe Section 54. But it specifically defines quarantine and isolation as isolation is those who are sick or potentially are infected, and then quarantine's defined as specific locations of where an outbreak's occurred. So to me, that seems to limit the resolution, or to limit their ability to do such a draconian resolution that they've done now, or draconian sheltering that they've done now. Am I reading the code wrong on that?
No, you're not. And they're two different citations of the code. One is the declaration of the emergency, which declares police power and martial law in the state of Idaho. What that does is it does give the governor a lot of power to exercise statutes, that he normally wouldn't have the authority to do so,
right? Especially
when the legislature is out of session. The other citation is what you stated in relation to issuing a quarantine order, which is a quarantine is that you assign that to people who are sick or people who have been exposed. It's not us quarantining everyone in the state of Idaho.
Right. So how do we think about that? Because I'm leading a rally, as I've already told you, for Friday at noon down at Boise, a Liberate Idaho rally, and so that's one of my contentions in this is that this is actually unconstitutional what's happening here in Idaho, and that I don't want this to be precedent for the future. What if actually a real threat comes? How much more draconian could they be? in all this. So my question is, this being an unconstitutional order, how do we go about communicating that?
And rectifying
it.
Looking down the road in the future to see how in the world we make sure this doesn't happen again.
Well, I think that we all have an opportunity now. The order is set to expire on Thursday, the 30th of April. So we all have an opportunity to continue to make a plea to our governor to lift this order. Yeah. Lift the order, lift the oppression that's settling all across the state, and then ask us as citizens to help with this concern in our community and ask us to help. We can still follow certain guidelines that are coming from the CDC, limit the interaction with people, practice good hygiene, do the social distancing. Yeah. I think it's still appropriate to quarantine some people that are exposed, as I said, exposed or sick, but it shouldn't apply to all of us. And so I think through your efforts and mine and many other people, more people are across the state are recognizing how important it is that we get this economy and businesses back open and allow people to interact and just live life, but yet follow the some safe practices.
What do you think legislators should be doing when they get back in session about what has happened?
Yeah, I think the legislators need to address the section of code that there should be some limits placed on that authority of the governor. And there should also be another provision that says that who can call the legislature back into session when they are out of session. Right now, it says only the governor can do that. In other states, there are other provisions to allow the legislature to act and come back into session. So I think they need to address that section of code.
You know, we're a Republican state. We're a conservative state. Conservatives least used
Republican.
We at least used to emphasize individual responsibility. Why haven't we been encouraged to exercise individual responsibility, wisdom, and care and concern through all this instead of having the government tell us what to do?
It's mind-boggling to me. I'm really struggling to understand. I think it's fear, perhaps. You know, that's the only thing I can think of is that this has gripped us so much. The fear of this has gripped us so much. And that's why, as a Christian, we don't live our lives based in fear. We need to proclaim our liberty, our freedom, be responsible, but not allow fear to grip us. And perhaps that's what has been causing this for people, the majority of people, to just follow along like sheep and not even question. You know, if anybody questions what's happening today, then we're all branded as being extreme and heretic. I've been challenged of being, why are you, the lieutenant governor, not supporting the governor? Well, first of all, I'm a duly elected constitutional officer, elected by the people of Idaho. I report to the people of Idaho. Yeah. That doesn't mean that the governor and I agree on everything. And when we do disagree, I will speak my mind.
Yeah.
That's actually part of my question was, have you had a chance to communicate with the governor, and what have those conversations been like? I guess part of me, I've lived in Georgia before. I lived in Minneapolis before. I lived a lot of few places. I'm looking right now and I'm saying, well, I see so much freedom here in Idaho, and yet I see Georgia beating us to opening. And so I'm wondering, within that.
And they had a lot more cases of coronavirus.
And they've been a lot worse, absolutely, than we've been in this. And so I'm just kind of surprised of why are we not open? And I guess the two questions here. What has your conversations with the governor been, if you've had any? And then why in the world are we getting beat by Georgia?
Yeah, I messaged the governor just last week because, again, according to our president's recommendations of reopening our economy across the country, the guideline says if you have 14 consecutive days of reduced, lowered cases going down, and you can look at the cases. We spiked in March 20th, something like that. It is like minuscule now.
Right.
And so from that date to where we are today, we definitely meet the 14-day guideline. So I messaged Governor Little and I said, look, Governor, happy day. We meet these guidelines from the president. You could right now today declare that we're in phase 1 of reopen.
Yeah.
I didn't get a response from that. To be totally honest with you, at this point, the relationship between the governor's office and my office is tense.
I was going to ask about that.
Yeah.
But it's not. I'm not the only one that has been concerned about the people that the governor surrounds himself with and who he's listening to, who he's taking advice from. I hear the same from members of the legislature, and that's not my style of management. I think that it's good to bring a lot of people in and hear a lot of different perspectives. So it's a tense relationship right now. Over a period of weeks. Yes, I have been involved in receiving daily updates from the governor's staff, but I've never been a part of the decision-making circle. My advice has never really been asked for. It's never been taken. And over several weeks where I would ask important questions, like we had the company Percussion Air in Sandpoint that was making ventilators, 3,000 they sent to California, and they wanted to donate 100 ventilators to rural Idaho hospitals. I still did not ever get an answer to the question of which hospitals need it in Idaho and where we need to send these. I never got that answer from the governor's office. I've asked other questions about how they're reporting on testing and casing, reporting deaths. I've asked questions about the use of virtual online schools, and to this day I still don't get responses. So it's tense right now.
Well, I've written the governor twice, and I haven't heard anything back either.
So y'all in the same boat.
So I don't feel so bad. He didn't even write back the lieutenant governor. Janice, we had Representative Heather Scott on the show a week or so ago, and she's been pretty outspoken about her. I don't know what you want to call it. She's not very happy about all this, and she just encouraged Idahoans to stop asking whether they were essential businesses or not, and just go about their business. You're a business owner. Your family's involved in various businesses in the state. What is your counsel and advice to businesses or even churches?
Well, again, I'm what I think we should all do as citizens at this point is petition our governor and plead with him to lift this isolation order after Thursday, and then ask us as citizens to help to cooperate and practice certain safe guidelines. The reality is that more people, it's already happening all across the state, where more businesses are opening. Some of them, I think, are opening because they're learning more about these guidelines that were put out by the Trump administration, and they're realizing that they fit into these definition of critical infrastructure, and it's important to the economy that they continue. That's the purpose of the guideline. So I think a lot of people are realizing, for example, local nurseries in Idaho Falls are realizing, well, I can sell seeds and flowers just like they are at the big box stores down the road. Yeah. So I'm going to open, and so I think part of it is education of the public. They're realizing that they are important and they are essential. The reality, though, is that because of now it becomes a matter of life for many people. That's right. And people are going to be making a decision to, if the governor doesn't lift this on Thursday, people will be making a decision of if they're going to follow that order or if they're going to provide for their family. And because that's what it's all about. When you can't feed your family, you can't pay your mortgage. Yeah. It's unfortunate that the governor is putting people into that situation because they're going to do it anyways because it's a matter of life. And it's going to be hard, though, because for us, we have this conflict, and like you, like we started out, I was raised to, I actually quoted this Bible verse from Romans last week, that I was taught that we were to obey the government.
Right.
And if we don't agree with the government, then we should work to change it. And that's what I've always tried to do. But it's unfortunate because people will be making that decision to survive at the same time knowing that it's a conflict with the governor's order. And I just really would wish that our governor would not be placing that burden on the people of Idaho.
Right. So Governor Little signed the resolution on March 25th. You've been on the show. You've been on the show before, and we like to ask the question: if you're governor for a day on March 25th, what would you have done?
I would not have issued a statewide isolation at home order. I would not have done that, and I would not have shut down businesses. And if the governor had to leave the state today or tomorrow, I would allow it to expire. I would end it immediately.
And see,
that's
and
great.
You wondering,
that's great.
And you sitting here wondering why you ain't in the meetings, and you wondering why he ain't calling you back, and you wondering why you ain't getting the inside scoop. And it's because of that right there. See, Lieutenant Governor? Janice McGeachin, thank you so much for joining us on Cross Politic. We grateful to have you. I like this little fight inside. I'm hoping it stays there and friendly, and I'm hoping our protests that we're doing are friendly and support our governor and lieutenant governor. We can get back to working here in Idaho and get back to normal. We don't go through this again.
No, please.
I just hope for your rally on Friday. I hope it's not necessary because the governor would have allowed the isolation order to expire. Yeah. That's my hope. But if you do still meet, then I appreciate the fact that you're going either way, whether it's lifted or not. I appreciate your emphasis on gathering together to support and lift up all of the leaders in prayer, because we need it, especially our president and all leaders across the country. Thank you for doing that. Thank
you for serving our state.
We
know that it's not easy to be in the limelight and to do what you know is right.
And serving the people.
And serving the people. We know you're making some people upset, and
good on you.
But we appreciate that.
The right kind of upset. If you're single, get married. If you're married, have kids. And if you have kids, go baptize them. Until tomorrow, love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. Go fight, laugh, and feast. This is Cross Politic. Wow.
God bless you.
God bless you too.